Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today is the first day. It actually feels like fall. The temps have cooled off. It's only 60 degrees out right now, and we're gonna go out and start combining some beans. I'm getting my semi started up, run through everything on this. Dad's working over there on the combine, blowing that off. We gotta unload a little bit of soybeans that were left in the grain cart from the last field, and then we'll go start out and cut land on a new 160-acre field. Check the oil here in the 340. See if we can do that with one hand. Screw off the dipstick. Let's see. Looks like it's above the 3 dots, so the oil's good on here. We try to check the oil on all the machines before we start the day. Before I take off for the day with the grain cart, I figured fuel level's only at half. Might as well top this thing off with diesel fuel. That way I know I have enough fuel to make it through the day. Before I'm able to unload the grain cart, I need the auger swung out. So I'm swinging the auger out here in the yard using the hydraulic remote. And it looks like that auger swung out, so now I just got to pull up to the semi to get this unloaded. Since I only have 10,000, now only 5,000 pounds on the cart, I'm just going to put it all in the front trap. That way the person unloading the semi doesn't have to pull ahead 2 different times, and they can just unload the front hopper down by the bins. But look at how dusty those beans are. I mean, that's just crazy. I've never seen that amount of dust when unloading soybeans. I can't even see where the pile is that I'm unloading. Just gotta trust that I know where to put the beans. Made it to the field we're gonna work on today over there. Pulled into the neighbor's field. That way we can hook the bean head up to the combine. First gotta take the straps off. That way the bean head never comes off the trailer when I'm pulling it. Overall, in terms of connections, the PTO and the hydraulic quick coupler are the only 2 things that connect from the combine to the bean head. But the hard part is just making sure that the feeder house meets up with the middle of the bean head. That way it'll lift the bean head perfectly straight right off the trailer. Now that at least we got one swath of the field off, there's enough room for the grain cart and me with the trailer to pull in here. So I'm gonna unhook the trailer. Mom's gonna give me a ride back to the main farm, and then I'll bring the semi out here. Things have been going good on this field we're working on here today. We're hoping to knock this 160 acres out today, since there's supposed to be a big rainstorm moving through tonight. And once we get this 160 acres done, we'll surpass our 50% mark done on soybean acres. I'm pleased with the yields we're seeing out here at this farm. You can see right here, here's the yield monitor for the farm, so bouncing around 50. The field average right now is right around 60. So that's pretty good for our 09, our early beans that we were hoping to get to combining first, but just the way things played out, we weren't able to get to this field first. So they're still hanging on, still a fair bit amount of moisture in them. They're only at 10%, but still better than 8. So things will keep moving. A quick soybean harvest 101 course about how the bean head and the combine cuts soybeans, taken from the field all the way back to here, the grain tank. So down at the bottom of the platform, there's a sickle section knife, and the knife gets cut side to side between some guards, and that is what cuts the stems on the soybeans. Then they get dropped onto a draper belt, and as you can tell, the draper belt then brings them into the feeder house. The feeder house is what we call the throat of the combine, so it brings all the soybeans through the throat of the combine and then into the rotor, which then is a large cylindrical drum with a pin through the middle of it, which beats out all the soybeans, and then there's a fan blowing out all of the chaff and excess residue that we don't want inside the grain tank, and that gets blown and chopped out the back. That's a pretty quick and dirty explanation of everything that goes on with the combine and bean head. And obviously, to control all those things, most of it's done over here automatically with all of these hydraulic and electric controls, so I can go on here and make changes to the inside of the combine. And then there's also cameras on here, so you can see inside. Here's a clean grain elevator, and then the tailings elevator. You can see images of those, and then going through Combine Advisor, you can click on any of these to see what those cameras are making for recommendations, and then if you want to accept them. So here it's saying shoe losses, and then I can increase my chaffer, so I'll hit apply, and that's just making the recommendations that the computer here is seeing through those cameras. When conditions are like this and it's super dusty, it's nice to have auto steer. That way I don't have to strenuously watch the end row and make sure that I'm not running down any beans on the uncut side. So this way I can just lean forward and monitor everything as far as I can see on the draper belt and on the displays. Here I'm making the pass around these 4 acres that I had in a previous video that we're going to be farming, where we took out all the fence posts and everything. Hopefully, I'm almost 99% sure I have all the fence posts picked up out of that grass, but just in case, I'm going to take it slow here. That way I don't run a fence post through the combine. I made it past that fence line there without any trouble. Didn't hit any fence posts or anything. And now I switch back to the semi to haul soybeans back to the yard for the rest of the afternoon, or at least until we finish this field. We'll see if the rain ever does materialize later tonight. Otherwise, we got another 80 acres that's only a half-mile away from this one that we might go finish as well. I've taken a couple of loads home already with the semi, and now I'm back here out at the farm waiting for my next load. But it's got me thinking. You know, I showed you guys all that dust that was coming out of the grain cart earlier, and when I was running the combine, I saw the same thing. But what's causing that? Where's all that dust coming from? How is that getting in with the grain? So I was out here walking in the field, and I'm thinking that this is it. Last year we had corn out at this field, and from the day we harvest the corn out here to now, we've had just over 15 inches of rain, which sounds like a lot, but it's not a ton. And this dirt is just so fine and dry down here that when the bean head just barely rides along the edge of the dirt and sickles off these soybeans, it's picking up clumps of mud. Well, not really mud, just loose soil like this, and that's getting run through the combine. And ultimately, that ends up in the grain cart, my semi, and eventually some of it ends up in the bin. And it kind of sucks because I really don't want to be bringing in all this topsoil that's out here on this farm, bringing it to the bin, to the elevator, because I want that good fertility soil out here. But because soybeans grow pods so close to the bottom of the ground, that's where that soybean cutter bar needs to be to get those beans up into the grain tank. So right now, that's basically where we're at. We didn't roll our soybeans this year, so I'm wondering if somebody did roll their soybeans, what that would look like. And for those of you not familiar with what a roller is, it's where they come out here right after planting with a big, heavy cylindrical drum pulled by a tractor, and they roll over the top of the seed before it emerges. And that's just to help with the cutter bar on the bean head come harvest, as well as rocks not entering the combine. So we didn't do that. Maybe that's part of our problem, but just an observation I have made thus far this harvest. Another observation I'm making out in the field is right here. Look at these 4 soybeans. These 2 are tested for a moisture right around 9%. These 2, 11 to 12%. Notice the size difference. Now, given I might have more small soybeans, but I would rather have larger soybeans than the small soybeans, because I get paid based off a semi-load of soybeans. Now, if you look back here, which one's gonna fill up a semi faster? These small ones or big ones? Exactly. That is why it's ideal to combine soybeans right around 13 to 14% in my opinion, because you're able to capture more bushels versus when they shrink down, you have soybeans that end up like this, and the yields are reflected by that. Waiting for my next load of soybeans, and it looks like a storm is a-brewing out to the west. So we ought to check the radar to see if we're gonna get these last 40 to 50 acres done before it looks like the rain's gonna set in. It's gonna be close. If we put this in live play, we'll start raining here right around 5:15. It's currently 3:42, so we got an hour and a half to finish 40 acres. see if we can do her. Since the field we're at is only a couple miles from the farm, I figured I haven't climbed up this bend since we started loading beans in it at the beginning of this year. So it's probably a good idea to shimmy up the ladder just to see how that spout's filling the bend. Make sure we're not overloading one side and might have to adjust the spout. So we're gonna crawl up there, look inside. I couldn't see absolutely squat looking through that side hole. I don't know if you guys could, but I guess I'll have to check that once we're done loading tonight, just to see how full that bend's getting. I don't know, the wind's starting to pick up. The clouds are starting to become more and more overcast. I just hope we can get this field done because it's such a pain to hook that head up on the trailer, bring it home, and hook it up again, because it's not legal to bring it down the road because it's so wide, 40 foot. So hopefully we can get that done. I'm gonna run back out there and see if they have another load ready for me. Guess what? It started raining at about the worst time possible. We have 30 acres left to go over there. So now everybody's gotta come home. I'm gonna have to unload this truck, and then we gotta put a tarp over this pit. That way no water gets in there. So unfortunately it's raining. Work never stops. We gotta get this done. Try to be cautious and only open the trailer a little bit, because since I have to keep the tarp open to empty the grain in the trailer, there's water getting in there. There's already water in the pit, and water starts to slug the leg because the grain weighs more, so it's heavier. So I don't want to run more grain through the leg than what it can take and slug the leg, because that would really make a bad day. So I'm just running them slow for now since it's still raining, and I want to get this trailer unloaded. That way I can put the tarp on this thing, because it looks like it's going to rain all night. I got the semi-trailer unloaded. There's still soybeans in the pits, and as you can tell, it's still raining on those soybeans, which is all right. I just don't want a ton of rain on them because they'll start to swell up like a jelly bean, and then they won't run through the auger. So I'm going to try to put the tarps on there, never put them on just with one person, and that'll keep it rain-proof overnight, or as long as it's going to rain. I got the mats on, the pit's covered, I'm soaking wet. There's your $1 million idea for somebody that's got a better way to solve that problem. We've thought about building a shed over it, but with dust control problems and all of our controls for the leg and everything are already outside, so I think that's out of the picture. So if somebody's got a better idea of how to cover that in situations where it rains like this midday, let me know, because last fall we left that uncovered all fall because, quite frankly, it never rained. So that's the first time we've had to deal with that. But that's covered now, so I'm gonna bring this truck back to our parking spot, and we're gonna see what else we gotta do. Everything made its way home. The grain cart and combine are both under a shed. There's a chance of hail tonight, but hopefully that doesn't come, because it's just kind of the way farming goes. You live and die by the weather. Today, obviously, it rained. It's unfortunate we didn't get those other 30 acres done, so that field would be done and out of the way, but we'll have more time. The weather's looking like it's gonna be on our side for quite a while. So that's gonna be it for today's video. Thanks so much everyone for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.